our fans were robbed of getting to be part of the playoff experience. I know, I mean, watching the Pacers in playoff, the fans really do show out, and Gainbridge is loud and crazy and electric. And so to be able to host a game there and be able to bring what they've, you know, how they've supported us so long, be able to give this to them and have a really fun one, I think we're really excited about it. And
Mitchell gets it up beautifully. Boston lays it in.
The number of screens that Aliyah Boston set on that possession, or stagger, pin down here. She's going to come up and set another on-ball screen, turn, rescreen action, and then finally rolls to the basket.
And you could feel it boiling over. Stephanie White lost it and straight up got hit with a technical foul, just for saying what every fan was already screaming at their TVs. How's a team being held together with tape and sheer willpower supposed to keep battling through injuries and referee chaos? Was it really just bad luck? Or did it feel a whole lot closer to sabotage? What went down in Game 1 has fans furious, players livid, and the whole league buzzing over one question. Were the Fever flat out robbed? Drop your thoughts below, because this one has everybody talking. Now imagine this, walking into the playoffs already missing half your rotation before the ball even tips. How are you supposed to compete like that? That's the exact nightmare Indiana lived. And it wasn't just 1 or 2 injuries. It was an entire avalanche. Caitlin Clark's groin injury had already ended her season. Chloe Bibby's knee, gone. Sophie Cunningham and Sydney Colson, both knocked out with their own knee problems. Ari McDonald sidelined with a bad foot. And to twist the knife even deeper, less than 24 hours before Game 1, Damiris Dantas gets slammed with concussion protocol. That's 6 players, 6 rotation pieces, ripped away right before the playoffs even started. Meanwhile, Atlanta rolled and fully loaded, waiting to feast. How is that fair, to the players or to the fans? Indiana fought through this exact punishment all season just to lock in that 6th seed. They scratched and clawed, surviving months of shuffled lineups like a puzzle missing half its pieces. And instead of being rewarded with a clean slate for the playoffs, they were handed chaos all over again.
You guys are focused on the game tomorrow, but just with the change in playoff format and knowing that you guys are going to have an opportunity to play at home, does it feel differently this year at all? Even though, again, like, you know, you have to get through tomorrow first.
It doesn't feel differently for me. I mean, you know, because I've been in all the formats, you know, between being a player and a coach. I don't know if it feels differently for them. I'm happy for our fans, you know, that they get an opportunity to see the team in the playoffs. You know, I remember a year ago in Connecticut, it was like, thank God we didn't have to go back to Indiana. So I'm thankful for our fans that they're going to have this opportunity.
They rolled into Atlanta with more names on the injury list than some teams even carry on a full bench. That's how wild it was. And speaking of the bench, what a sight. The Fever decided the whole squad was traveling, healthy or broken didn't matter. All 16 players showed up. It was a powerful gesture of unity, but also a brutal reminder of just how absurd the situation had gotten. There weren't even enough seats. The main row filled so fast that injured players in street clothes had to squeeze into a second row behind the actual bench, like they were stuck waiting at the airport for boarding. You know you've hit the injury lottery when your team literally can't fit along the sideline. And this is where the contrast hits hard. Look around at the other playoff teams. Every single one of them has reliable second options. Steady backups they can rotate in when their stars catch fouls or just need a breather. Indiana? They didn't have that luxury. They were leaning on whoever was still standing, patching holes with tape, grit, and straight-up desperation. And here's the kicker. Despite all that chaos, this squad still made the postseason 2 years in a row. That's not luck. That's pure resilience. Sophie Cunningham might have said it best without even meaning to. Stuck in knee rehab, she joked she's basically part of the medical staff now. A throwaway line, but one that perfectly captured the insane reality of Indiana's entire season. A starter turned into a sideline cheerleader, cracking jokes to keep spirits alive, even though deep down she knew she should have been out there burying shots. That's the Fever in one picture, finding ways to laugh through pain and chaos. And the craziest part? Those injuries didn't stop them from storming into Game 1 like they had nothing to lose. They came out swinging, caught Atlanta flat-footed, and built a lead like they were too stubborn to even recognize their disadvantages. But of course, it couldn't stay that simple. Because just when Indiana proved they could hang with the dream, the referees decided to steal the spotlight and flip the game on its head. Sure, every playoff game has swings, but nothing kills momentum faster than a whistle. Think about it. Indiana walked into Atlanta missing 6 rotation players and still came out punching. They opened up 15-6 with Kelsey Mitchell dropping buckets early and Aliyah Boston doing what she does best, dominating the boards and sealing off the paint.
Another chance here for Indiana.
So much length, and it's obvious on the defensive end for Atlanta.
Boston just kind of pushed it up and in. Guarded by Howard. And slide it into Boston. Center of the lane. Turning. It's finishing. Aliyah Boston. Beautiful move.
Lexi Hull gave every ounce she had as well. 9 points doesn't leap off the stat sheet, but it mattered. She buried one of Indiana's only threes on a night where the rim looked unforgiving for everyone else. She chased Atlanta around screens, fought for loose balls, and played the energy role that so often goes unnoticed until it's missing. Even when her shots weren't falling at a high clip, Hull refused to fade, reminding everyone she can contribute in ways that don't always translate to box score glory.
Malsamesco emphasized first just how well she's been playing down the stretch. The efficiency has gotten much better since the second week of August, averaging nearly 20 points a game since then. Is Hull 40-33. Atlanta in front. These teams split their 4 regular season meetings as Hull knocks down the 3. Hull gets a step. And
The Fever looked locked in, like a team refusing to let their broken roster define them. For a moment, it felt like the impossible might actually happen. A battered squad about to take down a fully loaded dream. And then, the officiating started bleeding the life right out of the game. Their rhythm got wrecked by whistles out of nowhere. Defensive stops that should have been fast breaks turned into freebies at the line for Atlanta. Clean contests? Called fouls. Mitchell and the rest fought through screens, shutting down looks, only for the play to be blown dead and reversed. Every call chipped away at Indiana's fight like the refs weren't just calling the game. They were controlling it. It just didn't add up, and it wasn't some one-off mistake. The same nonsense kept happening, over and over, draining the urgency Indiana had built at the start. Lexi Hull turned into one of the biggest victims of these phantom whistles. She got tagged with a foul on Ryan Howard, even though she was in perfect position, hands straight up, no illegal contact anywhere. Stephanie White immediately threw the challenge flag, and the replay confirmed exactly what everyone at home already saw. There was no foul. But she had to burn one of her challenges in the first quarter, something no coach ever wants to do that early. And it didn't stop there. By the second quarter, White had already blown through both challenges just trying to protect her players from being buried by bogus calls. Later, she admitted it was maddening to win them both, because it proved the refs were clearly missing obvious plays. But she didn't have unlimited challenges, and the whistle imbalance kept tilting the floor. Meanwhile, Atlanta's physicality ran unchecked. Fans watched as Brianna Jones threw an elbow into Brianna Turner, or Brittany Griner shoved Aliyah Boston during a post-up, and nothing, no whistle, no stoppage, just play on.
Stop either. You'd think after 20 of them, look at this. So that's a foul, right? But watch when the Fever do it 2 times in a row, same exact thing. But it's not a foul when the Fever drive. Look at this. It's not a foul when the Fever get hit in the air, but the Dream get free throws. Same exact plays. Look at this one. What are you supposed to do? Just roll out the red carpet and give him a layup? She is not fouling her. They give her a 3-point play.
The inconsistency turned every possession into a gamble. If Indiana put a body on someone, it was a foul. If Atlanta did it, apparently it was just basketball. That lopsidedness didn't just show up in the box score. It chipped away at the Fever's confidence, rhythm, and focus. By the fourth quarter, the frustration boiled over. White barked at the refs after Ryan Howard yanked Shea Petty's arm with no call. And instead of fixing the nonsense, the official slapped White with a technical. She was punished for voicing the same anger every Indiana fan was screaming at their TV. Odyssey Sims caught one too, not long after diving on the floor for a loose ball that should have been praised as pure hustle, but instead got punished. The arena buzzed with chaos. The Fever bench looked rattled, and the frustration hit so hard that even Caitlin Clark, sidelined but suited up in street clothes, had to step in to calm down her own head coach. Think about that. An injured sophomore, unable to play, holding back the coach who'd flat out had enough of the nonsense. Atlanta fed off the storm. They turned the madness into a brutal third-quarter run, stretching the lead into a mountain the Fever couldn't climb. And when the dust settled, the headlines weren't about Indiana's stars or their effort. They were about the officiating. Fans everywhere were left asking, did the Fever lose to the Dream or to the refs? But here's the thing. Despite everything stacked against them, the players on the floor never stopped fighting. And maybe that matters even more. When your hands are tied behind your back, how do you measure success? By the scoreboard, or by the pride of knowing you refused to quit. That was Indiana's dilemma in Game 1. On paper, they were outmatched. On the court, they kept swinging, and at the front of that charge, as always, was Kelsey Mitchell.
Injured players, they haven't been able to travel, some of them, but most of them are here now. How do they help kind of from a culture-wise and with, just bringing some perspective to you guys?
Yeah, I mean, we miss them every day on the court. So to be able to have them we had our plane, front of our plane, normally we have empty seats. It was filled on the way here. So, I mean, they bring energy, they bring light, they bring, their vocal leaders, all of them. So to have them on this trip is huge. And I don't know how we're going to fit everyone on the bench. It's not that long. It's been packed recently. So, I'm excited to see how we figure that out, but it'll be great to have them.
She dropped 27 points, a playoff career high, shooting nearly 50% from the field and cashing almost every free throw she earned. Whenever Indiana's offense stalled, Mitchell dragged it back to life. She wasn't just scoring, she dished 4 assists, even swatted a block, doing everything in her power to keep the Fever alive. But no matter how brilliant Mitchell was, the hole left by their missing stars was impossible to ignore. And it loomed over every possession like a shadow they just couldn't shake. Caitlin Clark's absence ripped away the one weapon that stretched defenses to their breaking point: her deep range. Without her forcing opponents to guard 25 feet out, Atlanta didn't even bother pretending to respect Indiana beyond the arc. They clogged the paint, cut off every driving lane, and flat out dared the Fever's backups to make a shot from distance. That lack of spacing turned every trip inside into a war zone for Aliyah Boston. She battled through foul trouble, wrestled with double teams, and still snatched 12 rebounds, 12 boards on pure grit, while constantly trying to avoid whistles that felt ready to fly the second she breathed on someone.
What does that mean to you specifically, just having them there?
Yeah, I was super excited. I think just looking at the injured squad in itself, they just have a lot of knowledge. And so for us, just being able to listen to them, taking what they see, because obviously just them watching is going to be a different view than us on that court. And so super.
Every possession looked like a wrestling match with Atlanta's front court, but Boston never stopped grinding. Offensively, she was quieter, just 8 points on limited touches. But her rebounding alone kept Indiana hanging around longer than anyone expected. And don't overlook Lexi Hall. She gave every ounce of energy she had. 9 points might not pop on the stat sheet, but it was huge. She drilled one of Indiana's rare threes on a night when the rim felt like it had a lid on it for everyone else. Hull chased shooters around screens, dove for loose balls, and played that relentless energy role you don't notice until it's gone. Even when her shot wasn't falling, she refused to disappear, proving her impact runs way deeper than the box score. Meanwhile, Atlanta just kept rolling in fresh waves every quarter.
Going to get T. It's Stephanie White. She has had enough of what she has seen from the officials here today. Understandable frustration from Stephanie White.
Couple of possessions in a row where Aliyah Boston got the fouls. I thought the first one should have been on Howard. And then here, as Petty's in there, Hillman kind of tosses her to the side a little bit, and that was the straw that broke the camel's back.
Alicia Gray and Ryan Howard both lit it up for 20 points. Naz Hillman came off the bench with 16 huge ones. And Brittany Griner's size in the paint didn't just get her buckets, it forced Indiana to collapse on her, carving open space for every teammate around her. The contrast couldn't have been more brutal. Atlanta rotated weapon after weapon while Indiana was basically praying their stars could just keep standing as the minutes ticked by. The Fever shot under 35% from the field, and every time the Dream snagged another rebound off that first miss, the gap just kept stretching wider. And yet, the most impressive thing about Indiana wasn't in the shooting numbers, it was that they never folded. They fought until the final buzzer, refusing to wave the white flag. They knew their shot at flipping the series wasn't dead. It just shifted back home to Indianapolis. Now Game 2 looms as more than just another matchup. It's Indiana's first home playoff game since 2016. That fact alone lights a fire of belief that the fight is far from finished. The question now isn't if Indiana has enough healthy stars left on the floor. It's whether their home crowd can turn Gainbridge Fieldhouse into the fuel that powers a season-saving win. Think about it. Nearly a decade without a playoff game in that building, plus a season where injuries gutted this roster, has all led to this moment.
They're finally able to travel from a medical standpoint as well. So, I think having the whole group here, having those guys here gives us a little bit of a boost emotionally. And then having their perspective. I mean, you're talking about 3 point guards that are sitting on the sideline that can talk to our team in huddles, that can talk to our team, throughout the course of dead balls or when they.
For the fans, it's bigger than just basketball. It's about showing the league that playoff basketball in Indiana still hits different. And when that building fills, the hunger, the noise, the energy, it's going to be impossible to ignore. The stage is set for pure drama. This isn't just a regular season test. It's Indiana's last shot at keeping their playoff run alive. The painful truth? They're still down the same 6 players that left them gasping in Atlanta. The roster's broken, the odds are stacked, but the fight, it's still burning hot in Indy. Caitlin Clark is still sidelined, and she's not the only one. Sophie Cunningham, Sydney Colson, Ari McDonald, Chloe Bibby, all out. Demiris Dantas, stuck in concussion protocol, with only a slim chance of returning for Game 2.
Referees did, and I know why Stephanie White got a technical foul. Any coach that had to watch their team work so hard all season long, played through every single injuries, and the reason why they had so many injuries is because of these referees.
That leaves Indiana staring at the same brutal depth problem with absolutely no margin for error. And Atlanta, they know exactly what worked in Game 1. They packed the paint until every inch of spacing vanished, forced Indiana into rushed jumpers, and leaned on a bench so deep it doesn't even compare. Right now, 2 for 15 from 3 just won't cut it, and everyone inside Gainbridge Fieldhouse knows it. Head coach Stephanie White made it plain. If this offense is going to survive, there can be no hesitation. Quick decisions, sharp passing, no wasted trips. Execution isn't optional, it's survival. Because the Dream's size and length aren't shrinking just because the series shifts to Indy. The burden on Kelsey Mitchell is massive, but it can't fall only on her shoulders.
What, guys? This is my new team, the medical staff.
Her 27 points in Game 1 proved she's a star. But if no one else breaks loose, Atlanta will suffocate her drives again and shut the lane. Boston will keep battling inside. Hull will fight for every loose ball, but somebody, Turner, Howard, Hartley, somebody, has to rise up as a real scoring option. And that's where the crowd comes in. Sure, 17,000 fans can't guard Ryan Howard or box out Brittany Griner, but their energy can turn every Indiana run into a tidal wave, every defensive stop into a gut punch, every Atlanta possession into pure discomfort. This game isn't just about survival, it's about sending a message. That this franchise can take every hit, stand tall at home, and start building momentum toward a future where Indiana refuses to be anyone's stepping stone. Game 2 isn't just a rematch. It's a test of pride, toughness, and whether Indiana can flip the script when everything feels stacked against them.
Referees took it over. Look at this. Everybody saw this. Lexi Hall didn't touch her, but they had to waste their first challenge on this play. Here we go. Look at this. She gets elbowed in the face, and they call a foul on Brianna Turner. And then Lexi Hall turns around to go back on defense, but she gets charged for a foul, and they wanted to upgrade it, reviewed it.
The Dream walked away from Game 1 convinced their formula works. Pack the paint, pound the boards, and let their depth grind Indiana down. But this time, the Fever aren't just fighting Atlanta. They're fighting the clock, the injuries, and the whispers that say their season is already finished. The question is, can they silence all of that noise inside Gainbridge Fieldhouse? The Fever shooters went ice cold in Atlanta, but at home with 17,000 voices shaking the rafters, every shot feels louder, every make feels heavier. The Dream can bring size, they can bring length, but they can't prepare for desperation mixed with a fan base starving for playoff basketball after almost a decade. And if Indiana finds just one more spark, one more score to ease the load off Mitchell, this series could turn overnight.
By Brittany Griner. Do you think they called it? No. And look at this. Lexi Hall did not touch her. Didn't even touch her. And she gets free throws. Here we go. Kelsey Mitchell touched her hip light.
Imagine the chaos if Boston finally gets some whistles to go her way. If Hull hits a couple from deep. If Turner crashes the glass like her life depends on it. That's the difference between bowing out and forcing Atlanta to sweat bullets in a Game 3. But make no mistake, this is survival mode. One loss and the season is over. The story ends with frustration instead of triumph. One win, though, suddenly the Fever are alive, fueled by their city, and ready to drag the dream into a dogfight they thought they'd already escaped.
And being able to, knowing it's the playoff, playing in such a physical game like today.
Yeah, I mean, I think we knew coming in it's playoffs, it's going to be physical, and we're going to have to learn how to play with that, especially this team is inherently a physical team. So for us, knowing that's the case and being able to respond, I think there's things that we're able to watch and film on how to handle that better, not letting the refs determine, how that physically is impacting us, but just continuing to play through that. It's definitely something we're going to have to work on and watch film and get better at, but that's part of playoffs, and that's part of the thing that we're going to have to get better at moving forward in the series.
This isn't just a game. It's Indiana's line in the sand. Either they collapse under the weight of injuries, or they rise, battered but unbroken, and prove once again that nothing in this league comes easy when the Fever refuse to quit. Everyone in Indiana knows, win or lose, what happens inside Gainbridge Fieldhouse will define how this playoff run is remembered. This series isn't just about wins and losses anymore. It feels like pure survival. The Fever have been battered by injuries all season, stripped of momentum by game-changing whistles, and somehow, they're still lacing up to fight again. Game 2 in Indianapolis isn't just another matchup, it's history. The first playoff game at Gainbridge since 2016, and everything rides on it. For the Fever, it's about pride, resilience, and proving they won't be pushed aside. For the fans, it's about unleashing every ounce of energy possible, because this is the night that decides how the year closes. One game can flip the whole narrative. One game can turn heartbreak into hope. Will the home crowd be the spark that keeps this season alive, or will the story end too soon?
Two of those last few possessions. Mitchell catch fire and hit from 3. What a start. Rebound hits the floor. Hull keeps it alive for Indiana. Mitchell using the screen, dancing around Griner, and able to squeeze it in.
Do you think the Fever were robbed by the refs in Game 1? Let us know down in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and make sure to turn on all notifications so you never miss the next breakdown. Click the video on the screen and we'll see you in the next one.